or were you doing freelance work on the side,
Yeah, it all
illustrating,
trickled
or?
through. The way trade book publishing works is you're paid a percentage per book, and generally the contract will have an advance, and the advance is described as an advance on royalties. So,
Yeah.
for instance, you do a book about a squirrel, and you get an advance of 100 euros, and you get paid. The contract says you're going to get paid €1 per book. Now, if you only sell 80 books, and that's all the books you ever sell, you get to keep the €100. So it ends up being like a cash contract. But say you were to sell 200 books, what happens is you get paid the €100, usually half when you sign and half when you finish the artwork. Now they try to do it in thirds. 1/3 when you sign it, 1/3 when you finish the sketches, and 1/3 when you finish the final art. And then you won't get paid any more until you sell 100 books. So the 101st book goes on your royalty statement.
Yeah.
And they do their accounting every 6 months. And then the accounting is for the 6 months previous. Yeah. So basically, if you sold, say, those 100 books and then you sell that one, about 1 year later, you'll get that extra euro. But if you keep selling books, say the squirrel book takes off and everybody's really into squirrels, and your squirrel is, that's it, the squirrel's everywhere, and you sell 100 million, then it'll trickle. But usually with children's books, it's not spiky. With adult books, it tends to spike and then drop. Children's books tend to go, they're kind of a slow burn. And I just won an award for a little book that I didn't get paid much money for. But, sometimes a book gets noticed, and it takes a long time for it to get noticed. And then when it gets noticed, you can see a little bit of an uptick. So your income from a book can kind of be all over the place. It generally goes down, but sometimes it goes up for a bit, and then depending on. So the key is, if you do a lot of books, you have a lot of advances. You're sort of jumping from one to the other, and then you have a lot of these little trickling income streams, little trickling things, and you can just about make it. You do have to do other stuff. But I also lived really lean, really lean. And for a while, when I was doing your expiration, as you call it, or thrashing, I was squatting in my studio for great lengths of time, which is illegal in the States. You're not supposed to be living in commercial property. I did that. That was one way. You live cheap. Yeah. You don't eat much, or you look pathetic, and your friends that have regular jobs will pay for a night, pay for your drinks. You kind of, I don't like to think about it. It's too frightening. When I've been at those places, I can never say that I've been poor because I'm white, middle class American, blah blah blah. There'd always be someone that would put me up. So, but I've been poor. And I haven't asked for money, so I kind of know what it's like. I mean, I'll never know the real fear of not having money, but I have lived, some lean times, I don't know how I did it. I just did it. You just do it,
You don't have a choice. You just have to work.
I did get a job for a while, my only job in my whole life, but it was doing sort of artwork. I lied my way into a job doing computer graphics. I had fooled around on a little piece of hardware briefly when I was living in California. Came back to Boston, and there was a job that came up, and I basically lied my way into it. And at that time, computer graphics was really young, and so people didn't really know. You could kind of BS your way, and I did. And the art director liked me, and so we were basically doing video graphics for a company that taught oral expiration technicians how to change jobs. It's a funny way of putting it, but it was very high-end, having to do with geophysics and things that people who look for oil, the very high-end science of engineers that look for oil around the world. No, so we barely understood what we were explaining, but we created sort of animated graphics of, sound waves going up and down. And I did that for about a year until I decided, for some reason, Mr. Lofty, I'd never made much money in my life. So even though I wasn't making much money, I was saving money because I didn't know how to spend money. Like had so little money. So I ended up saving some money and thought, I'll just quit. The audacity, the arrogance of thinking I had a decent job and a decent future. I could have written my own ticket doing computer graphics. I'd be working for Pixar, making millions of dollars, but I just said, you know what, this is not for me. At the time, computers they weren't well constructed. They generated a lot of heat. So you had to be in an air-conditioned room. And they didn't quite figure out how to put the computer in one room and you in this room. They were just beginning that. So you had to be in an air-conditioned room. The screens weren't as good, so the room had to be sort of dim. And the materials were all plastic. And so I just saw like my future, like I'm going to spend a huge amount of my life in a dark, windowless, air-conditioned room, touching plastic, staring at flickering light for the rest of my life. And I went, F this. And I took off and started traveling and spent a whole year traveling. And that's when I went away. And then when I came back, I decided I wanted to do children's books more seriously. And that's when I started trying to teach myself how to write. And that was the ticket to children's books, is if you didn't write, then you couldn't control what you were doing. So it was very strategic. I ended up really liking it, but it was strategic initially. So yeah, that's that. And I've been doing it ever since. I don't like to think about it too much or look directly at, like, you don't want to look directly at if I look at it, it might disappear. What do you do? I don't want to talk about it. I draw funny little things on a piece of paper and they pay me for it. What did I say? Did I say that? Is that real? No, it's real. It is real. I'm still getting away with it. It feels like I'm getting away with something, for sure.